And welcome to today's edition of the Zaleski Sports Show. Jason Zaleski here, Dan Ross is there, and we are here to talk to you about girls high school basketball. The seeds were just implanted or planted upon these teams, and they are all soaking it in right now. We've got a great lineup for you. We'll be talking to basketball coaches from Stevens Point, Arrowhead, Neillsville, Columbus Catholic, Oostburg, Pacelli, and Almond-Bancroft. So we've got a locked and loaded big-time show for you here. This is a no opinions show and all facts. So we're just spitting facts today, and we'll start with some facts about the math. Now that I've said all that, we might let an opinion slip here or there. So what? Okay, math, Dan. This is year 5 of the Coaches Association telling the WIA, please administer our mathematical formula that we have come up with to fairly sort these teams out by division, because before that, the coaches meeting in person or on the phone, that whole thing started to really go sideways, and we were no longer participating in a sportsmanship-like way. And so we're going to have this system instead. So I want to say that first, because people either forget that from year to year, or the new crop of parents that came in this year didn't know that's what happened. So it is a mathematical formula that we happen to know the code to, and we get to kind of see things and know things. So this is a pretty important show for a lot of people, and we thank you all for watching. So the first thing to mention is it is on the math, Dan. The math is heavy on strength of schedule. Your own win-loss record, of course, still counts a whole lot, but the math is heavy on strength of schedule. So it's who you played, and then who you beat, who have they played, and that strength of schedule makes up the most of it. And then the wins and losses come after that, and then there's some other things I call decimal dust. They're off in the periphery that can matter a little bit, and then there's head-to-head. So we're going to talk about all that today. Dan, anything you want to add to what the math is made of?
No, I don't think so. I wish it was more widely broadcasted, not the metrics or not the percentages, but it really feels like, and we see this every year on Sunday morning, and then the following Sunday morning, people in uproar because we beat this team. Well, how are they ahead of us? We have more wins or the same record. We beat them twice. We should be ahead of them. It's just not how it works, right? Get educated.
Yeah, and that's what Uncle Dan and I are here to talk to you all about, is to help you get some education on how all this works. And again, the main thing that we want to impress upon you is that the Coaches Association of these sports are the ones who came up with the system. So we get we'll see coaches on social media that are obviously uninformed, and what that means is they're complaining about this seed that I got today. Well, the complaint should go to your coaches association, because those are the ones who forwarded the whole system to be administered by the fine people over in Stevens Point. And what that means is you're not attending your coaches meetings, you're not reading the email updates, you're not going through the packet, you're not doing anything with your association. Otherwise, you would know how this works, and rather than blabbing and looking rather foolish on social media, you would already know what's happening, and at least have that understanding.
Yeah, I will say that the WIAA, or the Coaches Association, does a good job of implementing changes, right? And they aren't in the business of making really big changes for no reason or overnight. They tinker it. And I appreciate that, because I think it is a pretty good process, better than anything that we've had before. And it does get a little bit better over time. And I know you want to talk about the biggest change that they made this year, because we saw it happen a couple times today, and that was with more emphasis on head-to-head.
Yep. Well, let's get into that. Yep. So that was so head-to-head was a consideration for the last couple years, although only when it mattered on a seed line that was next to each other. So an 8 and 9, right? If the 8 and 9 were adjoined, and that what that meant was that the 8 was the host school, the 9 would be the visiting school. If there was a head-to-head win by the 9, then they would flip locations. Now the head-to-head matters to seed neighbors. So a 1 and a 2, a 4 and a 5, a 11 and a 12, whatever it may be. You have an opportunity to move up one spot only, should your math be within a tolerance to the math that is either one spot ahead or one spot behind you. So the first instance, and we've got a few. We're not going to go real deep on this because again, we've got 8 coaches that we're talking to today. Gilman and Loyal in Division 5 is the first instance that we saw of that. Where Gilman beat Loyal twice this year. And even though Loyal's seed math is better, and as I look here, Loyal, the seed score sits at a 4, essentially a 470, and Gilman's comes in at a 450. That's within the tolerance, and because Gilman swept Loyal this year, they're the 5 and Loyal the 6. That's one example, Dan.
Yeah, and I do like this difference in 5 and 6. Not that much. I mean, you difference between playing a 3 seed and a 4 seed on that Friday night, right? So there is something to that. What really matters is the 2-3, and we saw that a couple times throughout the brackets today, and we don't have the answers to everything, right? I'll be the first to raise my hand and say, you know what? We are 95% good, 99% good, right? But when we get the same notification everybody else does that we're going to have an emphasis on head to head and discussions about exactly what that tolerance is, right? Because if a team is way ahead of another team, but they lost a game back in November in overtime on the road or something, like, should it matter? Because they do want to look at the overall resume, right? We talk about resumes with March Madness a lot. And we don't know what that tolerance is, right? The WIA knows. But we had a really good one in Division 4 where we kind of understand a little bit, and that was it Luther and Banger,
Right, right.
right? They weren't that close, and that was a 2-3. That's important because whoever's the 2 hosts the regional final, and that's a big deal. So yeah, I mean, we don't have all the answers, but we learned a lot today, I will say.
One other example, Columbus and Assumption. That's a 3 and a 4. It was the second game of the season for both teams, to the best of my memory. I was there, but that was kind of to your point, Dan. This is just after Thanksgiving, such a long time ago. Yet Assumption's win over Columbus Catholic that day has them as the 3 and Columbus Catholic the 4. That makes your first and second round opponents different, and so there is a consequence to it. Another one that we saw coming, and we had talked about, I actually just talked about on Thursday during a Neillsville Warriors girls basketball practice. We'll talk to Coach John Gaier later in the show from Neillsville about this. Is they only have one loss on the season, his Warriors. Well, it was to the Regis Ramblers, and son of a gun, if Neillsville doesn't have the best seed score in Division 4, because they do, yet they lost. That one loss came at Regis earlier in the year. So Regis then takes the 1 spot. Neillsville falls to the 2. And again, that matters. You're playing the 3 seed instead of the 4 seed. Interesting there, Dan, and we're going to have a great talk with Coach John Gaier here later on, is that they play in their crossover game, they play Regis on Saturday, and then if chalk holds, they'll play him again in a sectional semi. So in that case, if chalk does hold, then the seeds won't matter. But that's one other instance. And the last one that we'll talk about today, it's another easy one. It's Kohler and Howard's Grove, that head-to-head. That one time Howard's Grove decided we're going to play a good non-conference team, and we're going to play it at their place. Well, son of a gun, if the Blue Bombers don't beat us, and they knock us down a peg in the seed.
Yeah. Yeah, you make a lot of really good points.
Thank you.
And it's the same as the NCAA tournament, right? A lot of people put an emphasis on those conference tournaments, the ones that are right at the end. But you know what? These conference tournament games, a conference tournament quarterfinal game, it counts the exact same as a game in the beginning of November.
Turns out.
It's the same thing in high school basketball. People want to talk about this is a conference championship game. This means a lot. It does mean a lot, right? Because the winner brings home a trophy. In the seeds, it doesn't really matter. Now, if I had it my way, we would be having this discussion next Sunday, right?
Mm-hmm.
And we don't have this week, this weird week of having the seeds out, and we still have teams that are next to each other still playing again, playing for the second time. I would love to see the WIA Coaches Association push this back a week.
Okay.
Right?
So there,
Why not play all the games and get seated on all the games?
I warned there might be one or two opinions. There was one. Dan, we've got our first coach ready. And as we say down here on the Gulf Coast, laissez la bon temps rouler, let the good times roll. It's Mardi Gras here for me. And let's bring in our first Mardi Gras guest. And we'll let Janel get herself all lined up here. The Spash Panthers, Dan, they're the number one seed in their group. And we have with us Stevens Point Panthers basketball coach Janel McCarville and her number one Panthers coach. Tell us about the seed result today when you saw it come across as the one.
Overall, we were excited just to see our name on the board up there. We know sectional one is gauntlet. You got a lot of tough teams in there to overcome. Got to take it one game at a time. As of right now, we're happy to be that number one seed, but we got Milwaukee Academy of Science on our mind.
Yep, the scientist. And then a game that I have on my mind comes up on Saturday, and it's the Oostburg Flying Dutchman. What is it about this week that you think will better prepare your team come playoffs next week?
Facing quality competition, we had to really go outside of our conference to bolster our schedule this year. The girls have handled it tremendously well, rise to the occasion every night. And Milwaukee Academy of Science and Oostburg is that kind of a team as well. Both of them got number one seeds in their own division. So obviously going to be super tough in that aspect, but those are the teams that you need to play in order to prep for postseason, because that's the talent that's out there in the postseason as well. So you got to be prepped and ready to play it.
Yeah, talk to us. Dan will have a question for you here in just a bit. Talk to us about how you go about putting that non-conference schedule together. You won your third straight conference championship. Congratulations on that. A fourth straight conference championship. Coach, is too many. I've got trouble counting past two. I'm happy I got to three. You got to four. Congratulations. So, I think people that know about your sport and your conference knew that you were going to be a notch or two above the others in conference. So how do you go about putting that non-conference together to make sure that you and the girls have the best chance come playoff time?
Honestly, I took my fishing line and went like this, and whoever was up for it, we said, let's go. Anyone, anywhere, anytime. Had to go to Minnesota for it, scheduled Duluth, Minnesota on top of it. So have to go back there next year for that 1-1. Reached out to a couple Fox Valley teams. Everybody there is stacked and they play each other on a nightly basis. So they got a 10-team conference. They don't have to go outside of their conference to do much. They got so much talent in conference. So reached out to them, got a couple of them on the schedule. It all helps. And again, wins and losses in season, I wasn't so worried about. I wanted the preparation and the girls to be ready for what postseason had to offer this year.
Dan, last one for me here to start, and then I'll let you get after Coach. Coach, on the media side, we're more in the entertainment business. You're in the wins and losses business, and you know that you've been part of the business before, as a matter of fact. We take a look at the bracket. We see Eau Claire Memorial. You and Memorial have put together some real tasty treats for us over the last couple of years. When do you and the coaches go about strategizing and scouting your bracket?
I start early. I mean, again, you can't go too early because you don't know who's out there. But right now we know what's there, so it'll start easily for me to look at Superior and Chippewa Falls to see who's going to advance out of that. Hard to say there. Equal opportunity for both of them to advance. And then from there, it's one game at a time. I will prep and have things ready for Hortonville and Holman, but we won't go over that with the team until a day before. We're going to focus solely on one game at a time, and that's what's got us to this point all year long. I mean, I prep 2-3 weeks out in terms of what's needed on my end, but that's my job, and then it's for me to give it to them in a timely fashion, understand what's the task at hand in front of us, and go about how we beat that individual team in that moment.
Dan, I was so proud of Coach a couple of years ago. I've never told her this. This will be the first time she hears me say this, but over at Eau Claire, and what happened to be a season-ending playoff loss, I thought there was a chance that Coach may throw a referee across the floor, or at least challenge him in a game of horse to.
That was a great game.
to show him what's what. But yeah, anyway, I was very proud of Coach for going in the handshake line and leaving the gym that night because that would have been tough to do. Dan, go ahead. What questions do you have for Coach Janel McCarville?
Well, I don't get to just chime in on that a little
Oh,
bit.
go ahead. Go
Okay,
ahead.
let me, because I was there for it. I remember.
Sure.
You know, I think I depicted the last couple seconds of the game to the girls, told them exactly what was going to happen, told Jada she would be able to invite that pass. Don't guard the girl, invite that pass, run through it. I said, you got 2 seconds to get your shot up. They're either going to foul you or it's going in. And, you know, it went, they did not foul. So we didn't get that, but, you know, exactly how it was supposed to happen kind of played out. And I was proud of the girls. But yeah, you know, you got to leave it on the court. I was happy for what it was, but it set us up for greater successes in the future. Now you can proceed.
Coach was pretty sure it was a foul at the moment, though.
I was pretty sure. I'm still pretty sure it's a foul. I'm still pretty sure. Like Jada's shooting motion is, you know, not falling away when it goes up. So
it looked like a foul on film for sure. We've looked at it several times on this show.
Well, it looked like a foul front row too.
Go ahead, Dan.
Very good. I have 2 questions for you. The first one, I want to talk about Hortonville, right? Because earlier on in the season, Hortonville came into your gym and won. I don't want to say convincingly. It was a close game, but they definitely got the dub, right? And obviously the teams are much different, right? Do you want to play them again? Now you're going to give me coach speak. I get it, right? Like we're going to play whoever it is. But the competitor in you, do you want to see them again?
Yes and no. Again, the only team in Wisconsin to beat us. Yeah, we got 2 games coming up this week that are going to put us to the test, but congratulations, hats off to Hortonville. They handed us whooping on home court, you know, and I think it hasn't sat well with the girls, and it lit fires, you know, and it showed us that we're not untouchable, we're beatable. So again, it was a humbling moment. We got big games before that second round game. So yeah, as a coaching aspect, we got many more games in front of us that we need to worry about before it gets to that. And then on the backside of it, hell yeah, I want to face them again. I think, you know, we were not that team, or we're not the team that we were then, and they're not the team that they were then. So the challenge is going to be there. The only team in Wisconsin to beat us. Hats off to them. Again, Fox Valley team. They're sitting ranked, I think, 19th in all y'all power index over there. And they're the 9th seed or the 8th seed. Like, wow. I mean, that's tough. Fox Valley brings it every night. So again, props to anybody who gets out of sectional 1. You are going to be battle tested from game 2 on.
Yeah. And speaking of sectional 1, I noticed it this morning, and we noticed it intercompany as well. Do you feel like you're overlooked a little bit as far as having Notre Dame and De Pere and Kimberly, the hosts on the show today, right? They do the best they can, right? But their eyes don't go to Stevens Point, right? It feels like they are looking anywhere else besides at that one line. And I'm sure you noticed it.
Of course. I mean, Central Wisconsin gets overlooked a lot. You look at the Wisconsin Valley Conference, I'd overlook us too. But you can't overlook us in Stevens Point, Spash Girls basketball, and what we've done over the course of 3 years, you know, building this empire and the legacy that Spash is built on. No, we don't have a tough conference, but like I said, I went out and bolstered the lineup as best I could in order for this situation. So overlooked by some, recognized by others. But like I talked to the girls, those are all opinions. What matters is, you know, us and what we do on game day and the performance and effort we put forward. We can't worry about what you as the media and reporters say. We got to put it out there. Your opinions are cool, and you know it's great that girls basketball is talked about top to bottom, and every single team gets some kind of recognition somewhere in there. But we're the number 1 seed, and I don't even think I heard our name mentioned, other than we were the number 1 seed. So overlooked, yes. Chip on our shoulder a little bit, but we know where we need, or the effort we need on the court, and where we need to put it in order to advance one at a time.
And one more real quick one. If we see you at the Rush Center in a couple of weeks, what really went well over the next 3 weeks for your team?
team buying into the scouting report, understanding game plan, game prep, individual roles that need to be played. Again, at this point of the season, we're not going to get much better. Now we need to execute what we have, play to our strengths, limit people on their strengths, and again, have it be a battle for 36 minutes. And if you can compete one possession at a time for 36 minutes, you're going to put us in a position to be successful. So with that being said, it's take care of the ball, rebound, defensive rebound, limit them to one and done. That's any team we play. And obviously listen to coach because she knows everything that's going on. So I'll tell the girls that.
That's the best advice I think we're going to have all day.
Listen.
Stevens Point Panthers head basketball coach Janel McCarville. We will be with you Saturday at the Herd Arena in Oshkosh against Oostburg and throughout the playoffs. Good luck, coach.
Sounds good. Thanks, guys.
All right, there was Janel. I love her. I think she's great. Great for me. She's great for the sport. She's great for everything.
How often do we get coaches calling in outdoors mid-February? Like you aren't here, so you don't understand like the happiness of people walking around outside today.
Well, and she's one of one, Dan. She is one of one, and every all but one that I like it all. All right, well, let's move on. We've got more coaches to talk to here today, and it's going to be Dan as soon as he gets signed in here. Another number one seed, and here comes Coach Ron coming in the show right now. And his Arrowhead group is the number one seed in Section 3. Coach, thanks for joining us. Just tell us about the book of work that you and the girls put in this year to achieve the number one seed come playoff time.
I think it starts, way back a couple years ago when Natalie, Libby, and Presley were all freshmen on the varsity team. And the first day of practice with those seniors and those other kids, they were just ultra competitive. I mean, I knew they were talented, but ultra competitive. And every practice where we would have a competition, it was all out. So I've just tried for the last couple of years to make the schedule as tough as possible. They've never once complained. They seem like they actually enjoy it. I don't know, they're just more locked in and focused. So they work hard all summer doing their AAU stuff. But the cool thing for me is they're at every one of our workouts unless they're out of town. And we go 6 to 7 in the morning, 4 days a week. And, if Natalie Cuso and Presley and Libby, if they can show up at 6 to 7 and then get in the car and drive to Spooky Nook, Pennsylvania for 4 days, well, the rest of the girls can show up and do that too. So it's really paying off. And we lost a couple of tough ones this year, but it's just fun watching them practice and playing who they play.
Coach, one of those, you mentioned the losses, and we're here to talk about the success of your team, but I couldn't let you go without asking you about Wauwatosa East. They're another number one seed. What did you and the girls learn? What can you take forward with you during the playoff run about that game and the things that the girls learned during that game?
Well, I'll say this little side note. Everybody said afterwards, you can learn a lot from a loss. You can learn a lot from. I prefer to learn a lot from winning. So I give Tosa East credit for taking it at us. And I think what we learned is, they execute pretty much everything. And it's kind of the same way with Oostburg. They execute their stuff at a very, very high level. Notre Dame, Green Bay, Notre Dame, we actually watch clips of us playing them too. We do stuff and we do stuff well and we play hard, but we're kind of just open up. Let's go. Let's see what happens and play together and do the best we can. Tosa East is going to execute. They're not going to hide a lot of what they do. And we knew a lot of what they were going to do, and they just went out there and just did it better than what we do. And I think Oostburg and Notre Dame and Kimberly are kind of the same way. Here's what we're going to do. You got to stop us.
Coach, you mentioned a couple of the girls. I'll mention them as the top scoring trio. Stats found on boundwisconsin.com. Natalie, Sydney, Libby go for about 45 a game. Just tell us about how tough that is when you're the other team and what a luxury you have to have that kind of diversified scoring in the girls' basketball game.
Yeah, it's huge. It's awesome because they also score in a variety of ways. Sydney gets to the basket. She can hit threes. Libby's just an incredible offensive rebounder. She had 27 rebounds in one game for us this year. And the one that's kind of actually entertaining, interesting to talk about is Presley Sams, who we can't get to shoot enough. we've been saying it for three years. It's like you got to shoot the ball more so that everybody else is going to be more open. And she's been doing a lot of that. And Karina Clems might be our best, just flat out pure shooter. And then it's nice to have Ellie Peterson's had double digits off the bench, and Sammy Walls had some 7 and 9 point games. So, yeah, we got to play better D, but it's fun to score the ball.
Yeah, you're looking here. Sydney dishes 5 times a game, so she's an all-inclusive kind of player. You mentioned learning from a win. I know my buddy here, Dan Ross, hates losing with a passion, and he's got a couple winning questions for you.
Perfect.
Yeah. Taking a look at your sectional overall, I think the 2 seed is Wanakee.
Yep.
If I remember right, you handled Wanakee a little bit earlier in the season. How is it? Are you a proponent of having to play teams a second time in the tournament rather than the first time? Do you think that that helps your team more that they've seen you once, or would you rather go in blind?
I would rather they go in blind to playing us.
Okay.
I think McGuanago a third time is going to be a battle. I think Oconomowoc a third time could be a battle. Wanakee, this will be, I think it's the fifth time in 3 years because we played down there, played it. So, yeah, I think it's an advantage to the way we play, as fast as we can play, as big and strong as Natalie is. The first time she runs into you and you fall down and she doesn't, it's like, oh, okay. So Wanakee understands that. McGuanago understands that. I think it's a huge advantage for for us to have not played them before.
I have 2 more questions for you, and it's not necessarily about your team, but I really want to hear your opinion. And the first one is, do you think that for Division 1, do you think that we should still split Division 1 up into 4 sectionals, or do you think that Division 1, knowing that we're not really in the top half of the state a whole lot for Division 1, right? Should we just seed the teams and just have a tournament?
I could definitely see advantage to that. I would definitely, you can do it for football. I guess they have some pools and stuff like that. But yeah, I think just put it all together, having a huge tournament, that would be so much fun. Put all these good teams together and just see what you got, and that's real March Madness right there. Having a whole bunch of things. I think that'd be kind of fun. I don't know if we could pull it off, but yeah, I'd support that.
Yeah. And my other question is, it feels like we're getting closer and closer to again having 8 Division 1 teams at the state tournament. I would be a huge fan of it. I know the coaches would be a big fan of having more teams, right? More opportunities for the ladies to play on the big floor. My question for you is how close is this from what you're hearing, right? And 2, do you think that until we get there, that the sectional final round, do you think that that should be a bigger deal by the WIA and the tournament itself?
Yeah, I like the idea. Obviously, more teams make the state tournament, but you know, we talked a lot about it. Wednesday night playing somewhere, not at the Rush Center, because that's one of the problems has been is we can't get all the games at the Rush.
Yeah.
So let's say we're lucky enough to make it to the 8 and we play Thursday morning at 10. I'm fine with that. So now do I get out of school Wednesday, play Thursday at 10? Am I back at school Friday because we lost? Because that kind of sucks. I'd rather spend the weekend, up in Green Bay. So having a facility that could host it all would be better. If we can't do that, then I think the sectional final needs to be promoted. I think those games are huge. I think you get 5,000 people in the Al McGuire Center. I don't know how much where the herd plays. There's different places. I think that I'd rather play a Saturday sectional final than a Wednesday some other place state semifinal. So those sectional games, we had a huge one against Oregon at the Forest. That was pretty cool. That was a good crowd. Games like that are fun. I saw footage of Kimberly Pewaukee at Hartford last year. I mean, state championship game, that would be better, obviously, but that was a pretty cool environment. 2 good teams going at it. So I'm a big fan of promoting the sectional final.
Yeah, especially on the D1 level, right? Because on paper, it should be the best two teams going to state in D1. D2, 3, 4, 5. A lot of times those sectional final games are blowouts, but not D1. They're the best games in the state.
Yeah, I agree with that. Yep. You can have some good games at other levels, but yeah, lots of times whoever, if we're fortunate enough to be there, we're going to play a good team. Wanakee, Brookfield East, La Follette, Mukwonago, Verona. We're going to play, it's going to be a good game against someone, and I hope we're in it. So yeah, if you put that on TV up at the Rush Center, that'd be pretty cool. But short of that, let's play at a big gym with 2, 3, 4,000 people. That's going to be pretty fun.
Coach, we'll let you off the hook with this last one here. You've got one lone game left on the schedule. You got Kettle Moraine coming up this week. What's left to tune up before playoff start for your girls on the 27th?
Biggest thing is we got to make sure that we're playing together. Kind of like your earlier question, we got to be able to execute exactly what we want, get who we want the ball, where we want them. So we spent a lot of time on that last week. I thought we did a pretty good job with Oconomowoc, and we're lucky we got 4 practices. Let's clean that up and see how we do against Kettle Moraine.
Arrowhead Warhawks have a home playoff game on February 27th. Coach, best of luck.
Yeah, thank you. Thanks for having me.
Thank you. We're going to keep this train rolling here, Dan, because again, we got them lined up here left and right coming in, and again, we've got another number 1 seed, Dan. But as we talked about earlier, because of the tiebreaker, actually will show as a number 2 on the official list. But we bring in Neillsville Warriors head basketball coach John Gaier, and we're going to start the talk with that coach. 2 seed, even though you've got the best seed score in all of Division 4, but the 2 seed due to the head-to-head tiebreak, the loss to Regis. Just tell me about the seed that you and the girls achieved this playoff season.
Yeah, I think our girls have played well, and you really can't argue about the head-to-head competition. That happened, and Regis won, and congratulations to them. The best news about being a 1 or 2 seed is you get to host regional final if you get to that far, and then it's neutral sites after that, and you got to be able to play who's in front of you anyway. So we keep doing that, but pretty happy with the seed, knowing that head-to-head competition now is weighed pretty heavily.
Coach, I know you like to play one game at a time. Us here in the media, we like to play things out a little bit. So go with me on this, if you would, please. You'll play Regis. You've already seen them this year. We just talked about it. You'll play them Saturday in the crossover. And if chalk holds, you'll see them again in a sectional semi. So if that were to happen, what does Saturday's game matter for you and your girls?
Well, I tell our kids all the time that the crossover game is just an award for the regular season. And it's a pretty exciting time, but that is not the last game of your year. We've played in that game a number of times now, and I tell our kids that, we've won that game and gone to state. And we've lost that game and gone to state. So you got to have a really short memory, win or lose, in that crossover game, and you just hope that it's a really good game and that nobody gets hurt going into the tournament.
And then just talk to us about this last week, and then I know Dan's got a couple questions for you. I had the pleasure of calling your game Thursday over in Marshfield. That clinched, I think my count was 7 consecutive conference championships, and then you went and you kept the girls' heads in it. It looked like you went to Spencer and got a win. A lot of teams would go and maybe play a little goofy that next day, and maybe you'll tell me they did, but it was a win in the scorebook. So just tell us about that last week that got you to this point with the wins that you had during the week.
Well, high school girls are always a little goofy, so you just kind of got to weigh what level of goofy you're dealing with. But no, I thought our kids were locked in pretty well, and we really try to enforce the midnight rule, where at midnight, win or lose, you got to let it go, and you got to go on into the next day. And what's past is past, and you can't control it, but you can certainly control what's in front of you. And so our kids, I think, went to Spencer with the idea that that's our next game. I tell our kids the game we're playing tonight is the most important game in the state. And it's the most important game in our schedule. So let's play this one, and let's play one possession at a time, get kills at one end and get scores or fouled at the other end. Focus on that, and usually the scoreboard will take care of itself.
Dan, what do you got for Coach John Gaier?
Yeah, taking a look at your bracket, I think Regis Neillsville, the top two teams for a reason, right? You do have McDonald on your side of the bracket. A lot of Clover Belt West teams here. And I know that out of conference, you do a really good job of scheduling with all these teams. Has there been consideration about maybe making a jump over to the West from a conference perspective? Or are you happy in the East?
Well, I, I, I guess we always play the schedule that's in front of us, and we can try to control what we can control. I don't control conference alignment. Um, and there's been teams on our side that have been pretty successful. Columbus has been successful. Owen Withey went to state last year. So I don't think that's a knock on the Eastern Clover Belt at all. And sometimes I feel we're like when we're in both conferences because we play Regis and Fall Creek and Chippewa Falls McDonald in the non-conference schedule. So as long as we get to play that type of competition, I think it's really important. And the West is really good, and they've got tough competition. There's no shoe-in for us or Regis getting out of the regional if we don't play well. There's good teams in our brackets that can play some really good basketball.
Yeah, I agree 100% with that. Maybe the strongest bracket out of all the four, I would say, or all the eight, right? Because there's two brackets in each sectional. What I really admire about you, Coach, is the program that you have, right? You have good girls on the floor and off the floor every year. You guys do things the right way. You never hear anything untoward about your team. At least I don't. And I think that kind of stuff gets around when it happens. Um, for somebody who might be watching, another coach or a parent who's interested in it, but how would somebody from scratch try to build a program the way that you have at Neillsville? You guys are very successful. You're a terrific coach. But talk a little bit about all the hard work that goes in behind the scenes, maybe.
Well, we've had terrific kids and some terrific parents that support them as well. But I've said it. I've said all along. It takes a village. We have a rec department that gets kids started early. Um, we are blessed with a facility that allows us to get young kids in the gym. Years earlier in Neillsville, we were pretty limited with gym space. And in order to get young kids in, we were practicing on early Saturday mornings or late Saturday afternoon and evenings, just trying to find gym time. And fortunately, we have the gym space now. But I think, all the great coaches talk about having a culture where you set some standards and that you just hold everybody to those standards. And the standards don't change. I really believe that high school sports are vitally important now because it is one of the few places now where kids don't have shortcuts, where people aren't doing it for them, where the size of the gym floor is the same. It's not changing because you don't want to run it as hard. I think getting kids to believe that, I think is important. As far as the class of the kids, we talk about winning in a whole different way. We talk about winning isn't a sometimes thing. And we try not to measure our success by the scoreboard, but by the kind of people that they are, the kind of effort they have, the kind of attitude they have. And we talk a lot about, young kids look up to you. And if they see you putting palms up every time you make a mistake or pouting when you come off the floor or jogging back on defense, they're watching. And you got to be role models for those kids. And I think our kids have done a great job with that. And I couldn't be more proud of them. And as far as me, my wife keeps me pretty humble. So I'm not a great coach at home. So I get reminded of that all the time. But yeah, it's just a blessing to have great kids and great families that we get to work with.
People have said for a long time, Karen is a saint, and that's I think you're in agreement with that, Coach.
Oh, there's no doubt about that.
Let's let you off the hook talking about the girls this year. Maddie Dable, 1,000-point scorer as a junior, just reached that achievement a few days ago. And then Eden Marg, a freshman, coming off the bench, getting 10 points a game. So, Eden has impressed and has shown some of her abilities. Maddie has been smooth ever since coming on your team as a freshman. Just tell us a little bit about the girls that you have on the floor.
Well, those two and all of the other girls that have had really great success for us, they do something different. They work when nobody's watching. Those are the kind of kids. They are always at practice early and stay late. And anytime they can sneak into a gym, they will go into the gym and they will have a shooting machine set up, or they will come in together and work when nobody else is around. And if you want to be that kind of player, if you want to be that successful in anything, you got to do it when nobody's watching. You got to do it because you want to do it, and you put in the work that a lot of people don't want to do. And everybody comes to practice. You have a scheduled practice. Everybody comes to practice. But what do you do outside of those things that, if you want to be special, that you're willing to do? The coach at Alabama says it. The former football coach at Alabama says all the time, if you want to be good, it takes what it takes, and those guys are willing to do what it takes. So Nick Saban nailed it when he talks about that, and we talk about that as well. But if you want to be special, it takes what it takes, and there aren't a lot of shortcuts.
Lastly, Coach, people come up to me all the time, ask me who's going to win a game, or in this case, now we're playoffs, who's going to win state, and I'll tell them I have no idea. These are 16-year-olds running around out there. If somebody else can figure that out, they'd be the first one to ever figure it out. But one of the things that I look towards is who can play well in a hostile situation. So in a sectional final or a semifinal or things like that. Your girls came into a very hostile situation on Thursday at Columbus. There was a conference championship on the line. The Columbus fans came in. They were whipped into a frenzy. The place you had that playoff excitement, and there you were on the road, and you come out to a 20-0 start with all of that thing faced against you. What does that tell you about your girls come playoff time next week?
Well, we can put together a plan, and we can work on a plan, but when the lights get bright, the kids got to go out and execute a plan. So we knew where we thought we could get shots, and our kids knocked them down. We had a plan where we thought we could slow them down a little bit and still get to their shooters. And our kids came out and did a really nice job of that. And the credit goes to them. So, I tell kids in games like that, and I told them this that night, actually, there's 1 billion people in China that could care less about the outcome of this ball game. So the sun will come up tomorrow, regardless of what happens out here. So just go play well. And we talk about do the little things well early. Come to good stops, make good starts, use a fake before you throw a pass, and be locked in that way. And we try to just get back to our fundamentals and focus on those early. And when shots go in, it sure makes me look a lot smarter than I am.
You shot very well then.
Yeah, they shot very well, no doubt about it. Yeah, Coach, I think I was told it was Mike Tyson. I've never heard him say it, but everybody's got a plan until you get punched in the mouth. The Neillsville Warriors, the girls' basketball team, looks poised to punch other teams in the mouth come playoff time. Make sure you get out and watch them. Your first opportunity for the playoffs to see these girls on their home floor is Friday, February 27th. Coach, best of luck.
I appreciate that, and I appreciate all you folks are doing to give kids recognition that is very well deserved all across the state.
Well, they deserve it, Coach. We just happen to be the guy standing in the gap here. Thanks a lot, Coach. Good luck.
I appreciate it. Thank you.
All right. Well, boy, how do you start off a show like this? This has been 3 in a row, Dan, where these coaches are. I mean, we're running through a brick wall for them.
I know. Well,
gravy.
yeah, I mean, really good programs, right?
Yep.
It is no coincidence that they're on the one lines every year, right? Or most years, and it really is. I really like Coach Geier's answer there, right? Because it's a lot more than what he can do, right? It's a lot more than what he can do in practice or in game decisions. It's about the parents and the support staff, and it's the coaches, the youth coaches that are teaching the same things year over year over year, so that when they come into the program as freshmen on the JV team, or maybe even the varsity team, depending on that skill level, that they don't have to learn a brand new system. They don't need to learn exactly what coach means when he says good stops, good starts, right? Yeah, it takes weeks, months off of the learning curve.
We talked to Coach about that game at Columbus. I had a chance to talk to Columbus Catholic Dons head basketball coach Eric Wilson about the turbulent last week and the playoffs yet to come. We move now to Columbus Catholic girls basketball coach Eric Wilson. Coach, 4 seed as of this morning is where you landed. Before we get into that, let's talk about maybe the last week that you and the girls have had here. Kind of a topsy-turvy, rocky kind of a week. Off to a slow start at home against Owen Withy, slow start at home against Neillsville, and then you scored 1 point in the last 6 minutes over at Loyal the day after. So where do you go from here? How do you get the girls kind of regrouped and settled down before the crossover game on Saturday?
Yeah, thanks, Jason, first for having me. I think the first thing I'd tell you is, yeah, it was a rough week, and we knew going into this week that, it was going to be rough. I think it can make us better, though. I think it's very much like a playoff week. Now, I don't think we're going to see a Neillsville as the second game in a week. I will tell you that their kids play really, really hard, and Mr. Gaier over there is as good a coach as there is, and there's a reason he's got as many wins as he does. And our program right now. And I really talked to the girls after the Friday night game is there's a lot to be proud of. And I think trying to get them back to say, okay, it's 1 week. We were playing great basketball before that 1 week. And so we had a rough week, but now we have to rebound and go from there. And the really cool thing is we showed a lot of resilience on Tuesday coming back against Owen. We were down 12 and we came back and got a win. I thought that was a big deal. Honestly, Friday night, I thought we were tired. That's just the reality of it. That's not an excuse. It's just we were tired. And the cool thing for these kids is next Saturday, they get to play in a crossover game, which is a really neat experience. And so they're going to get to go play McDonald on Saturday, be one of the top two in the East Side. And, I was going to tell the girls earlier today to try to keep their spirits up. I believe, and I looked back today because I'm trying to bring some positive for them. It's the 17 wins is the most wins they've had since they've as a team since we've joined the Clover Belt. So there's a lot to be proud of, and that's what we're going to go on right now and kind of reset. And we've got a week now to reset, which is good for us.
Yep, you'll reset. You mentioned your crossover against McDonald. That'll be another tough team, but a good challenge. And then the playoffs start in 2 Tuesdays. Again, we've got you slotted as the 4 seed. You'll take on Port Edwards. The math had you as the 3, but the head-to-head against Assumption that you lost earlier in the year drops you to the 4. Tell us about the process when you and the coaches begin to start looking at Port Edwards.
It's already happened. Yeah, I mean that's just the way we work. Putting out a scouting schedule. During the first week of playoffs, there's a lot going on. Try to get ahead, and honestly, for us with this week off, it lets us get ahead of some things. Not overlooking anybody, but you're prepared so that you have a game plan or who's looking at what for the future. So we've started that already.
And let's just talk about your team. I think you've got a really fun mix of ages on the team, talent from top to bottom. Caitlin Casperson, a senior, Gracie Wilczek, a junior, Ellie Gardner, a freshman, all key contributors. What's that like to blend all those different grade levels together and make the 17-win team that you've had this year?
It's been a lot of fun, and I just got to correct you. It was, and I do this once in a while too. It's Sophie Wilczek. Gracie graduated last year. Don't
right.
just so we know. It's fun, but it's a challenge at the same time. I mean, there's kids in different spots in their lives, and I think for the most part, all year we've done a really good job. We started with some team building activities before the season started. That I had the first Wednesday practice. We didn't practice in the afternoon. We did a team building thing had somebody come in and do it for us. And I think that's helped. And you just go through the ups and downs, but I think these kids have learned how to lean on each other a little bit. We've got 9 kids out in the program, and we've talked a lot about, hey, there's only 9 kids that are willing to put the work in and the time, and that's not a knock on anybody who's not. That's just the reality. There's 9 of you doing this. You got to lean on each other. So it's been good, challenging at times, but for the most part, really good. And the kids like being around each other and going and doing stuff together.
Yeah, and I apologize, Sophie. I'm an older brother. People always wanted to call my younger brother my name, so I apologize for that. The rest of your group. I mean, let's go back to the scouting question. You got Edgar and Gresham above you. How far do you and the coaches go into that bracket once the playoffs? Once now the playoffs are ready, the bracket is ready and set. How far out do you go?
I think you have to. I think you have to go through a regional final. I think if you don't, you're cheating your kids because, and for us, we don't have a game this week till Saturday. So I think we have to take advantage of that time so that you're prepared. I've done this for a long time. I did it with the boys program for a long time, went through a lot of regionals and sectionals, and you assign somebody something. You don't talk to the kids a lot about it, but you're ready so that you can have kids ready. And I think that's all, making sure you do the right thing for your kids. You don't want to be unprepared.
I asked you this question after you had the victory at home on Tuesday against Owen Withy. How do you balance keeping the girls sharp with 9 on the roster, keeping them sharp and keeping them fresh this coming week?
Yeah, that's tough. I think for us, it's going to be we're going to probably take a day off in there somewhere, just to break up the monotony. I mean, I don't think at this point in the season anybody needs 5 full days of practice, and that doesn't mean they can't get shots up. It'll be more of a do that kind of thing. But then I think we're going to have a couple of days where we're going to really get after it. The coach, one of the things you worry about in there is you don't want injuries. When they have 9, and you don't want, so one of your starters or one of the kids that plays a lot of minutes getting hurt, but you still got to play basketball. So we'll balance that, have some ideas, and we'll balance what that looks like and make sure we're ready for next Saturday from there. And then I think Saturday's good for us going into Tuesday. I think it'll be a really good game, and then you'll have Sunday and Monday off before you play. So I think that'll be a good thing.
Lastly, Coach, I just want to give you a chance to advertise your team. That regional quarterfinal is at home. If chalk holds, it'll be the last home game for you and the girls in 2 Tuesdays from now. So give an advertisement to the audience here to come out and cheer on these girls in person. That means so much to see them in the bleachers when they're on the floor.
Honestly, I would say I think that people have started to see that. So I would tell them to come out and see our group. I think we're actually very young. We've got 3 seniors, but we play we start a freshman, 2 sophomores, a senior and a junior, and they're fun. They play fast. You've seen us play quite a bit this year. I'm hoping we have 2 home playoff games. We should from there as the 4 seed. We would not get the regional final, but I think we'll get 2. And I think that we were hoping for the regional final. I think our group deserves the regional final. I get how the math worked out. I wish it would have been there last year when we had Greenwood and we didn't get that same thing before the new rule got put in place. But it is what it is. I think the people that came out and saw us against Owen this last week, the crowd we had and what was going on there and how loud the place was, I think they've started to see that our kids play really hard. So I think little people are playing. I would say come out and check us out.
Coach, you're exactly right. Your girls are home on Tuesday, and 2 Tuesdays from now, a win there puts you at home again that following Friday. So perhaps a couple of home games left. Coach Eric Wilson is in his Columbus Catholic Dons. Coach, best of luck come playoff time.
Appreciate it, Jason. Thanks for all the coverage you give high school sports.
Many say they're the best team in all the land. It's Division III, the Oostburg Flying Dutchman, and head basketball coach Isaiah Katterhagen. And we turn now to Oostburg Flying Dutchman girls basketball coach Isaiah Katterhagen. Coach, number 1 seed in your group. I'm sure that wasn't a big surprise to you. Just tell us about the reward as the number 1 seed for the efforts that the girls have put in during the season.
I think the reward is kind of the season in a nutshell. We put together a really good schedule, played a lot of good teams, and we challenged ourselves. So we put ourselves in situations that we needed to be in to hopefully be battle tested. And then when we get to where we get to, hopefully we can put those things in action. So it's fun to see that pay off. As of right now, we're kind of, nicks and bruises here and there, but no major injuries. So one of those things is how healthy we are and how we kind of click at the right moments dictates where we're going.
You'll participate in the Division III playoffs. That'll start in about 2 weeks for you and your girls. A lot of people have said around the state, your girls' team may be the best in the state, regardless of division. And the seed score proves that out. Your seed score turns out to be the top in the state. I just talk about that and what a luxury you have of coaching this group of girls.
It is a luxury. I think when you talk about the best team in the state, I don't put a lot of thought process into that. The ranking system, all of that. There's so many intangibles that kind of I don't even know how you get your seed. But it's fun to be in the conversation. So I'm not going to lie about it. It's fun to be talked about that way. It's fun to have the girls hear about themselves talked about that way. I think our community it's fun for because we're a small community where most of these kids have gone to school together since third grade and they know each other and they love each other and they hate each other and so it's all of those things kind of in one and it's fun to be part of the conversation and then a number is just a number so we have more work to do.
Let's talk a little further about love each other, hate each other. You've got three on the team that you care about a little bit more than the rest. So tell us about the girls that you know particularly well.
Yeah, the twins, Addie and Riley and Kinsley are um, I'm trying to enjoy this season as much as possible. I think last year at the state tournament, after we won state, it was a one of the questions came from media immediately of okay, what are you going to do for next year? And you're going to be the favorite. And I kind of pumped the brakes on all of that, and I, we just needed to enjoy last year, and we needed to really get an understanding of how difficult that really was. So outside of that, it kind of put me in a good spot to enjoy this year and understand that this is my last year being able to coach Addie and Riley before they go off to GB. And so I'm trying to enjoy it as much as possible. I think there's moments where I want to pull my hair out. They probably want to pull my hair out. And that's okay. That's part of the process, and that's part of I think what drives them and what drives me is the Addie and Riley are super duper competitive. So they do it in all love, and after mine, I'm like, hey, I'm coach right now, and you're just a player. So I'm gonna really miss those two. They bring a ton to the table. We're gonna miss a lot of their leadership and a lot of their I would say their work ethic. They are constantly in the gym. And then on the silver lining is I have Kinsley, who is only a sophomore. So it's like, okay, I get to learn from all of my mistakes I've made with these two, and I get to go ahead and um, practice some more with Kinsley, and I get 2 more years with her. And then I have a little one, a sixth grader, that once I screw all the things up with Kinsley, I have to figure out how to correct them with Tia. So, and I want to make sure to comment. I know your question was directed towards them, but man, oh man, we've got a great group. We got a special group. There's names I haven't even said that it's a phenomenal group.
Coach, I say this as the oldest child in the family. The younger ones always get the good stuff. They always have it easy. I'll just say that, and then we'll move on.
Yep.
What we've got a week before the playoffs start. So what's left to work on this coming week at practice and with the girls?
Yeah, I think what's left to work on is we right now are going through so our communities around the area there's this flu and sickness going around. So it hit a couple of our communities around the area. So this last week when I was talking to some of the other coaches, I said, "Hey, has it gone through your school?" So it is going through our school right now. We have about half of our population that comes in and out of my class, and half of them are hacking, and half of them are home. So we're just trying to make sure that I was joking with one of the parents the other day. I want one kid to just take a spoonful of ice cream, and then we'll just pass a spoon around and get this done and get it through our team, and then we'll be on our way. So it's kind of a joke, of course, but I would think that the big thing right now is we have some little things to work on the court for sure, and just to remain healthy. I think our big test coming up is next. I'm sorry, this Saturday at the Herd against Spash, which is really intentionally scheduled. Our AD and Spash's AD did a really good job of trying to figure out, okay, if we both have the seasons we think we're going to have, we both probably should get a bye in that first round. So let's go ahead and let's play each other right before, so there's not that big of a lull, and give ourselves a challenge. So two really good teams battling before playoffs start. I think that's going to be a really good semi blueprint. Right before we get to playoffs is like, all right, here we go. This is what we need to go and work on and go.
You mentioned passing the spoon around. Of course, when I was a kid, we had chicken pox parties. The one kid in the neighborhood got the pox, and everybody else had to show up over there. You mentioned the game at the Herd, a game that we carry live here on Zaleski Sports for people to watch on Saturday. It's against a number 1 seed in Division One, the Spash Panthers. Janel McCarville is your peer that day, a former number 1 pick in the WNBA. An Iowa commit on the team, and all kinds of other talents. That is kind of your last ironing board type of game before the playoffs start here in a couple of Fridays. So what is the message to the girls coming into that one about, depending on how we do here, this really could be something we can lean back on once the playoffs start and recall these situations that came up against Stevens Point on Saturday?
Yeah, I think overall there's a couple different things that we're kind of playing with. If you remember, or if I can remind you, last year, our last regular season game was at Appleton East, and I've had great conversations with Brian Patchen about it. Of the idea of, I truly think if we don't lose that game, I don't think we take state. We lost that game, and it gave us all kinds of stuff like, hey, you know what? We got to get back to work. We got to do some things. We got to crispen it up, and at the same time, I'm not saying that we need to lose one here, because I think our girls remember a lot of that East game, and it's something where I think we're going to be okay if we don't lose that. I've been asked about it, and it's like, there's good losses and bad losses, and honestly, it's basketball. We're going to go ahead. Every game's a new game, and obviously before we get there, we have 2 conference games this next week, and we got to make sure to look at Tuesday, and then we'll look at Thursday. Let the coaches do the work for the scouting reports and all of that, and let's not get the cart ahead of the horse. So I think that's really important to remind ourselves as well. So there's a lot of different things, a lot of balls in the air that we're juggling, and we'll try to catch them all as soon as they come down.
Lastly, Coach, the number 1 seed guarantees that you've got a home path through the regional round. Like I said, it starts in a couple of Fridays, and then the next day on Saturday. How important is that part of the achievement to be able to get those back-to-back home games on Friday and Saturday?
Super, super good. It is something where our community deserves it. We have, and I'm sure every coach says it, and that's okay. But our community really does a fantastic job of supporting our kids and supporting our team, and it's something that we can give them a chance to play back in front of them twice. So 2 more home games is like, you know what? This is a cherry on the top before we hopefully, I mean, obviously we have to get through those, but hopefully we have to do what we need to do and then get through those, and then hopefully continue playing and play on the road and keep going.
Oostburg Flying Dutchman girls basketball coach Isaiah Katterhagen, best of luck come playoffs.
Hey, thanks a lot. Thanks for your time.
And we are back here, Jason Zaleski, Dan Ross, on today's special edition of the Zaleski Sports Show. It's girls basketball seed day, and seeds were assigned earlier today. And we are joined now by Almond-Bancroft Eagles girls basketball coach Chad Newby. Chad, your girls have really surged these last couple weeks when we gave our 2-week warning, Dan and I, about 2 weeks ago. You were on the 4 line. You move all the way up to the 2 during these last couple weeks. Just tell us about the achievement of the 2 seed come playoff time.
Said our conference is a little bit weaker this year, so we didn't have a lot of big games until last couple weeks. We scheduled it's a little bit tougher non-conference schedule. Fall River we played. DeSoto won their conference. It's nice that we played Pacelli 2 weeks ago, so that helped us out. Obviously, we had a close game with Pacelli. We get a rematch tomorrow night for conference against Pacelli, so that'll be fun. But yeah, we played. Like I said, we had 4 tough games in the last couple of weeks that I know probably helped their strength of schedule out a little bit.
Yeah, certainly did. Let's talk about that game with Pacelli. You saw them at home in a really tight game. It was entertaining to watch. You end up though on the losing end that night. So tell us about what it's going to take now in Stevens Point tomorrow night.
Well, now that we know we can play with them, I said going into that game, if we could stay within 10 points, I'd be happy, for how proceeding wise. But now that we know we can play them, it's unfortunate that they lost the player that's going to be out for a while. So that helps us out, but it's sad to see something like that happen. Um, I said we got rebound the ball, take care of it, turnovers, and all those are things we didn't do down the stretch against them. I was sick to my stomach for probably 2 days after that, knowing that that probably should have been a W for us.
Tell us about how you arranged the non-conference schedule. You've got Edgar, a sectional mate. They're the 5 seed that you would perhaps even see them in a regional final. Just how do you go about selecting Edgar and others in that non-conference schedule?
Our athletic director kind of takes care of it.
All right. Well, good enough. Andy. Yeah. So you're saying Andy's actually doing something during the day.
Putting stuff in games. Yeah.
Yeah, good, good. Coach, sorry, you were skipping a little bit. I didn't mean to talk over you. Just and now, looking back on it, playing a team like Edgar, and then obviously, Pacelli, if that plays forward a sectional semifinal game. But just tell us about, now being able to draw from that experience come playoff time.
Yeah, it's only gonna make us better. Like, so we played Auburndale earlier in the year too. I think if we play them now, it's probably that's one of our losses this year was Auburndale earlier in the season. That we play them now, it's probably a different game. That probably helped us out a little bit, playing a little bit bigger. No, every D5 game we played besides Pacelli, we've won this year. So our losses have come against Lamira, Auburndale, or up a division. Well, we've had some good challenges, and I think it'll make us a little bit better going into playoffs.
Dan, the Eagles have a good resume in the mathematical formula. Obviously, a 2. They would also had a pretty good resume if you were in charge of a coach meeting. So, what do you have for Chad?
Yeah. First, I want to talk about the Pacelli game just a little bit because I was not there in person, but I did watch a big chunk of the second half. I think I was at Assumption Newman that night, and I was watching your game from that game, which I probably shouldn't do when I'm trying to be present in what I'm doing. But that game really interested me, and it felt like it was a wild atmosphere. And I don't know if it was just it was just the audio, but the fans looked like they were really into that one.
Yeah, it's always Chelly us. We got a little rivalry there, a public private school thing. There's always been that. Softball season, too. That's a big rivalry with us. Basketball, we always tend to pick it up a little bit for those games.
Yeah, and maybe so I'm a little bit on the outside of the CWC South, right? I pay attention to it, but I'm not at a lot of the games, and it feels like your program is on the ascent, right? And it not just this year, last year, the last 4 or 5 years, Almond-Bancroft feels like they've been kind of like knocking on the door, like maybe they're going to be good this year. Maybe they're going to make the jump. Do you feel like your team made the jump this year?
Yeah, I think so. I said I got 7 seniors. I've been coaching this group. This is my second year as a head coach, but I've been coaching this group of girls since second grade. So we played a lot of basketball in the years, a lot of tournaments. We challenged ourselves. We were just talking this morning. We were watching the seating show, Oostburg. We remember playing them when we were in third grade, the twins. It's kind of neat, interesting, neat stuff. But we played a lot of basketball. So we got 7 seniors. This group here, we just had our 80th win as a group for the senior class against Wild Rose the other night. So with 80 wins in all the 4 years, we got my daughter Laya, she's the 4-year starter. I got Maya, Oakley, Raya, they're 3-year starters. Emily's first-year starter, but she's come off the bench every year for us. I got Aubrey Phillips, Laney Carlton, a couple other girls, seniors, but they've been playing a lot of basketball. We played together, like I said, since second grade.
I know that the boys have had some recent success. When is the last time that the Almond-Bancroft girls have made a trip to state?
I don't think we ever have. We've only softball and a couple times, but girls basketball has never gone.
All right. Do you know how far the team has made it? Like section sectional final?
I want to say we went to a sectional the COVID year. We lost to Blackhawk. It was 2020, I think. But that was a COVID year. It was kind of a small regional, and I don't remember offhand, but I think that was a sectional game that we went to.
Okay. A lot to be excited about with your program. And you did mention that there are some injuries on some of the other teams. If everything goes your way and you take care of business, the 2-3 game, if it gets to that regional final, you get it at home against Assumption, right? And then maybe Pacelli for a third time. If everything goes right, what happened during those games that got you to Green Bay? Like what really went well for your team?
We're gonna have to take care of the basketball, limit turnovers. We got to rebound, can't give up second chance points. That was a big thing against Pacelli. We gave up probably, I want to say 16, 18 second chance points. Gotta get back on defense. Gotta be physical. That's Pacelli's. They're physical. These last 3 teams we played have all been physical, and that's been good for us, I think. I said it's unfortunate that we got 4 teams, I think, us, Pacelli, Assumption, Marshfield, Columbus. I said we were all at one point ranked in the top 10. It's unfortunate that, it's only been one of us getting there, but it's going to be fun.
All right, thank you, Dan. The Almond-Bancroft Eagles begin their playoff run at home on Friday, February 27th. They'll play the winner of number 7 Newman Catholic and number 10 Prentice. Coach, best of luck.
Thank you.
And here comes Allison, Dan Ross. Pacelli Cardinals are the number 1 seed in their group, and a big part of it was the win over Almond-Bancroft just about a week ago. Allison, talk to us about the accomplishment and now the reward of the number 1 seed in your group.
Yeah, I extremely have a very talented basketball team. And coming in 3 years ago, I was gifted with a very special freshman class that now is a junior class. And I had some freshmen come in this year and do some big things for us too. I'll let you know, Jason, that numbers this year were not where I wanted them to be. A lot of the times in practice, we have 7 or 8 girls. So that's been a struggle for us, and for us to be able to accomplish what we have so far, and not to be able to do a lot of 5-on-5 is pretty special for us. And myself, and I know the rest of the coaching staff and the girls are very proud as well.
Coach, I mentioned that number 1 seed came directly because of that win over in Almond. If you were to have lost that game, you'd be the 2, they would be the 1. So just tell us about going into a hostile environment over at Almond-Bancroft that night and pulling out a win in a very competitive game.
Yeah, and we talked about it. It's a very small gym. And we packed it in with, a lot of Pacelli people came out, students, families came out, and Almond always has a big crowd there. So we're not used to that kind of atmosphere. And the girls did a really good job in the second half. First half was a little iffy. We had some things that we had to make adjustments to in the second half. But one big thing is we lost, and I don't know if you know this, Jason, but we lost a huge part of our team. Maddie Pionic tore her ACL. So she will not be continuing with us on this journey onto the court. But she'll still be a huge part of what we do on the bench. And it's amazing that, the girls were very emotional after that, or actually when it happened in the first half. And I think that fueled a lot of emotion and intensity into that second half, which really pushed us, to really come out with that win.
Yeah, and I'm sorry to hear that news, Coach. Maddie, obviously a big part of the team, but you said she still will stay on as motivator and coach. How do you talk to her now about transitioning that role, especially with the playoffs right around the corner?
Yeah, and she'll be on the bench. I've asked her to, sit up by the coaches so she can still learn the game and what's happening. And she's a junior, so I'm expecting her to help mentor those younger players, those 3 freshmen, and especially Kinsley Shirk, who's at a similar position with her on the court. So Maddie's still going to be a huge contributor. She's become more of a leader this year. in her play alone, her intensity, her work ethic. I'm hoping, continue even though she's not on the floor, but continue with her motivating the bench.
Allison, I've got Dan Ross with me. We know that you've got a conference championship game tomorrow, and perhaps Dan wants to talk to you about that.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, the first game was pretty wild. The atmosphere, the fans were crazy, right? And there was a lot of, I don't want to say unwanted pushing and shoving, but like it was one of those games where the whistle blows and like people are and the girls are playing a little bit after to the whistle, after the whistle, and it was just fun to watch, right?
Yeah. Yep.
Do you expect more of that tomorrow?
Oh God, yeah. Even with the loss to Maddie, it's a huge conference rival for us. It doesn't matter who's on the court at what time. It's going to be a big game, and every possession needs to be valued by us. And we've talked about that all year long. Is we got to value the possessions. You got to work the clock. The clock is always our friends, and that game was very intense, and it always kind of gets a little rough, when you have Haley Shazeski, follow out, it's a tough game because she's a very big competitor, and she likes to get physical at times. And I think, that game, it was very well reffed, in my opinion. I thought a lot of big shots were hit on both ends. So I'm expecting pretty much the same thing tomorrow. One plus is that, it's going to be on our court, and the girls are more familiar with our court. And hopefully we have a good outcome with fans tomorrow, which I'm hoping will be big, especially if the students can come out and help support a little bit.
Two more quick questions for you, Coach.
Yeah.
I got to meet you up in Minocqua after the Lakeland game. And it just brings to mind, how did you schedule your non-conference? Because it feels like you will play anybody anywhere.
Yeah. I know, minus the past 2 years, our conference has been decently strong. This year coming in, I knew it was going to be a little bit lower. And, as a Division 5 school, there's not that many Division 5 schools in the area that are close enough for us willing to travel to. So, when you have teams, like Wassa West was one that reached out to us, and that was our very first game. That's a Division 1 school. It kind of shows, how well our program has been in the last few years, that, these teams want to play down in divisions. And, we had a rough one at St. Mary's Catholic, and we, and as well as La Crosse Aquinas, but those games help us get better. We're not going to get better if we play below 500 teams. The only way to get better is to play those, high ranked teams. And if you see what a lot of those teams got seated at, they're all 3 and above, so we're playing those high teams. And, Wittenberg, that game just shows you how we're still able to compete even without Maddie Pionic there. And that's against a Division 3 school, undefeated. So, these games, they're tough. We come in always hoping to do our best, and whatever the outcome is, we're gonna learn something from it.
Yeah, and my last question for you, Coach. This year has been a little bit different because, rightly or wrongly, it feels like Pacelli has been in Assumption's shadow the last 2-3 years, right? And Pacelli has had really good programs, have beaten Assumption at least last year, I know, maybe 2 years ago too. And they've fallen off a little bit this year due to graduation and that. How has this year been a little bit different, being the hunted instead of the hunter?
Yeah, like you said, Assumption has been that powerhouse team, and we had the last 2 years we have beat them once, and last year we beat them once. But when it comes down to it, it doesn't matter how many times we beat them. When it comes to the playoffs, that's when you have to play your best against them. But like you said, now that we're the hunted, the target is on our back, and a lot of people, want to come for, make that upset happen with that number 1 seed. So we got to make sure that we're preparing that much harder. We're talking about, the target on our back, and we can't make mistakes. And, we have to make, like like I talked about earlier, we have to value those possessions that we have, because any number seed could knock us out, and Assumption could come in. They're a very strong playoff team, and they could come in and upset us wherever that game could be at if we end up meeting. But I think the girls are ready for it. This has been their goal all year long. We talked about getting to state, and after my first year 2 years ago, we fell short. Last year we got a little bit closer, so I'm hoping this year, we can get over that hump and get to Green Bay.
Yeah. And the girls, at every win, you don't have to practice tomorrow. You get to practice tomorrow.
Yeah, exactly. And it was hard. I wanted to get together today, and but it just wasn't happening. Over the weekends is a little bit too hard. But yeah, tomorrow will be, the seeds are already out, but they want this conference champion, and they want a three-peat, and I'm expecting them to come out ready to go.
Thank you, Dan. Coach Jason here. I'll leave you with this one. We kind of hinted at it, and I heard you hint at it a little bit too. I don't think there's any doubt that you had your best attendance in Almond a couple weeks ago. You're the #1 seed. You got a conference championship on the line. I'll give you one more chance to advertise your team and tell those people you got to come out and support at home on Monday night.
Yeah, we are a high intense basketball team who likes, our favorite thing to do is to get quick steals and push in transition. And, we like to, if, we're a team of runs, so if a team throws a run at us, we'll be right there to shoot it back at them. But, and we have 4 girls that are extremely fun to watch. Jaden Zurek is one of the top in the state, and we've had, Ella Van Order come and step up, and Haley Shazeski, and even Kinsley Shirk the last, against Wittenberg, really stepped up and helped us out. So we're hoping, we have good families that like to come support us, and hopefully, I'm from Stevens Point and I have family that went to Pacelli, so hopefully I can recruit them to come and let them know how big of a game this is.
I'll say it like this. Listen up, Portage County. These Cardinals fly, and they've got a conference championship game on Monday, and then playoffs begin February 27th at home against the winner of #8 Pittsville or #9 Athens. Coach, best of luck.
Yes, thank you, Jason.
All right, Dan, let's wrap it up. I liked where Allison was going there with a couple of things. With that regular season game against Assumption, those have been wins, but the playoff game has been losses. I seen it during the softball season too, and again, we said we'd keep opinions to a minimum. I don't know this as a fact, but in my opinion, what it looks like is those Lions and sometimes the Cardinals, but they're a little tricky, and they sandbag a little bit in the regular season and get ready for a playoff game, don't they?
Yeah, I mean, there are times, especially in the non-conference, where the wins, losses, every win matters, of course. But you might not want to show all your cards, right? You might want to not show something that you've been working on specifically for a certain team. And I don't know if either Assumption or Pacelli are doing that, but I think that both those teams have played enough where they kind of know where they're at. And Pacelli has been in this place where they've been the little brother, little sister, right? And it feels like big sister kind of moved out of the way a little bit, and it's time for someone new to come in. And what an opportunity for both Pacelli and Almond-Bancroft in that sectional, right? Both playing extremely well, very, very high level. I think Almond surprised me more than Pacelli. We figured Pacelli was going to be really good this year. Almond, I thought that they were going to be good, better than advertised, I would say. And if you have a chance to watch 2 of the best teams in the area, small school in the area, that's the place to be tomorrow night, is Pacelli High School.
Dan said, "Show all the cards," talking about the Pacelli Cardinals. What a pun expert Dan is. All right. Anything you want to go back to? Anything that we missed as far as the math and any of the other I don't know, coaches that are out there squawking or people that maybe just need a refresher on how all this works?
I don't think we missed anything. One thing that I will bring up, and I thought about it with our last interview, was Wausau West came to us. They wanted to play us, right? And if you are a Division 1, 2, 3 coach and you want to help your seed score, play a team like Pacelli, right? Because
Yeah.
there are no penalties for playing down. There's no penalties for playing up. You look at your wins and losses, and a lot of these teams that are playing Pacelli are losing these games, some, right? But it really helps your seed score, and it helps both teams, right? Because Pacelli got to play a Division 1 team that had a lot bigger girls, taller girls, tougher. It's just a different it's a different level. Obviously, it's a different division. But there's something about playing a Division 1 team because they're a little bit quicker, a little bit faster. And Pacelli handled Wausau West this year, and Wausau West has had some issues. But it's easy to see why Division 1, Division 2 teams want to play these really good small division schools because they get a good game out of it and they get lots of bonus points in the seed math.
Yeah, when the strength of schedule rules the day, and again, your own win-losses count a whole lot too. I think maybe we've leaned too much in the strength of schedule, although it does make up about two-thirds of the formula. Playing against a team like Pacelli, who's going to have 85 plus percent win percentage by the end of the year, is going to do nothing but increase your seed score, and it's going to increase your team's ability on the floor because you've played another quality opponent. And a team like Wausau West, even though they're the last seed in their group, by playing a team like that, I mean, who knows? Maybe something crazy happens there with the Warriors. But you mentioned Wausau West. I got Aquinas, Amherst, St. Mary Catholic, Mosinee. Those are all teams that Pacelli played, and it did nothing but help both sides.
Yeah. Yeah, for sure. And I mean, it's a little bit different for us because we can see the math and we can understand that there are a lot of fans and coaches, local media, I would say, that take a look at their team and they say, we are 19-2. How in the world are we a 3 seed or 4 seed or something? Doesn't make any sense to us. Well, because maybe 12 to 14 of your wins were against teams with losing records, right? Because they're in your conference, or in your non-conference, you played a bunch of teams that you've just played for the last 20 years and don't think anything of it, right? But they end up having 20 losses this year. I don't know. If nothing else, I feel like this at least opens up a little bit more strategy of how you build your schedule every year. And coaches and athletic directors should be hand in hand in this of trying to figure out what makes the most sense for my team next year to get a good seed score, to get better throughout the season. And is it possible to play a really good team late in the season, right? We don't want to play them right away because we think we don't know what we have yet. But later in the season, it counts the same. It counts the same if you play them in February or you play them in November.
Yeah, to Dan's point, if you've got 19 wins and 7 of them were against the Little Sisters of the Poor, you're actually doing more damage to your seed score. Those are the ones that do get seeded 5th, 6th, 7th down the line like that. And those are the ones that we usually see squawking about. We won 19 games this year. It's just not the way that it works. So, I want to give a big shout out to Mike Wendlandt, who puts all of our seed scores together. Did another bang up job this year with the girls' math. Again, you can still see the seed scores. You can see all the stuff we're talking about at ZaleskiSports.com. Just click VIP. And the boys are up next, Dan, and that's where you and I will convene next. Will be 1 week from today, right on this channel. It'll be the boys basketball coaches seed show.
Yeah, and I would say that we're not done with the girls' seed scores because the teams that make it to Green Bay, those are the seed scores of how state is seeded, right?
Yes,
So
yes.
yeah, there's still a lot that you can look at there, especially if you feel like you have a team that can make it to the Rush Center. You can kind of take a look at the other teams and see if you make it there, you're going to be a 1, 2, 3, or 4. You can kind of tell.
It's a good reminder on that. We'll have some more squawking in a couple of weeks because we see it every year. That team that is 20 whatever it is, 27-1, that's the 3 seed, and the team that's 24-5 is the 1 seed, and then the squawking begins anew. All right. Again, thank you to all of our coaches today. Stevens Point, Arrowhead, Neillsville, Columbus Catholic, Oostburg, Pacelli, and Almond-Bancroft, all those coaches joining us. Big thanks to them. And one last time for me, Laissez la bon temps roule. Let the good times roll.